What's up, guys? I'm playing a bit of the remarkably divisive Final Fantasy 16, and if you haven't played it yet, you really need to. And I'm gonna make my case why, because there are quite a few people out there who are really disappointed with the game, but I'm gonna do it while I play, because I'm at a pretty intriguing part of the story, and I want to showcase a little of what to expect at the same time.
Not so long ago, this here was a thriving trade route. Then the Blight came. The people left. And just like that, it was deserted. Making it the perfect little shortcut. Gab's waiting for us up ahead. Come on. Still feeling sorry for yourself?
Don't. Please.
Think about it, Clive. The rumors all point to... That was an Imperial signal. They shouldn't be here. The old fort's been abandoned for years. Our little chat can wait. I need to see what the bastards are up to. You go on ahead and meet up with Gab.
But we both know that...
No buts about it.
So Clive, who is the main character of the game, he's at a rather depressing point in his story. He's just learned some unfortunate information. But despite that, this game is really upbeat and really fun. Like, look at this.
Get it, boy!
You've got the necessary items. You can pet and play with your dog Torgal. The story and the writing...
Stupid. I'm the dominant of fire. We sent Galv on a wild goose chase.
The story and the writing are really, really well executed. And as you can see, the game is just beautiful. I'm surprised that my PlayStation 5 is still intact. Trying to run this game for as many hours as I've been playing it. It's just an incredible feat. It's my first Final Fantasy game, and I didn't really know what to expect. Now, a lot of people are going to go, oh, you've never played a Final Fantasy game. Of course you think this is good. I think that that highlights the fact that it all boils down to expectations. And many of the people who aren't a fan of this game had one idea of what it should play like before it was released, and many of the people who enjoy it had another idea, or, like me, no idea at all about what the game should play like. Final Fantasy has never really released games like this. They've always been these more in-depth, turn-based RPG games with a really unique formula. Final Fantasy 16 is a lot closer to something like Uncharted or God of War than that, and I think that's a lot of what bugs people, which I can totally understand. Now, I'm a big fan of Uncharted and God of War, but I'm also a big fan of very popular RPGs like The Witcher and Elder Scrolls as well. If someone were to release an Elder Scrolls game, and it played as a linear story with a handful of unique moves and tiny sprinkling of RPG mechanics, I'd be pretty upset too, so I don't blame everyone who has a problem with this game. You expected classic Final Fantasy? Uh-oh, that didn't sound good. Oh, jeez. That guy's massive. I'm sure he'll go down pretty quickly. Oh, that's not working out too well. But as I was saying, those people expected classic Final Fantasy, and they didn't get classic Final Fantasy. Dang. I'm getting lit up by this guy. But just because you didn't get the game you expected doesn't mean the game is bad or even mid. Two things can be true at once. This game was not the one you expected, so you are therefore disappointed, and the game is very good for what it is trying to be, despite not trying to be what its predecessors were. And I think this is something that we should keep in the back of our minds for every game. Hell, even every media release, whether it's a show or a movie or anything else. I think we've become so consumed with demanding that producers and developers grant us the exact design of fan service we have in our heads, or what we believe is perfect. And then when something different is released, we throw this big fit. It's one of the reasons I think developers are increasingly consolidating their ideas and focusing on sequels to existing IPs that very closely resemble their predecessors, and in particular, why they're putting so much effort into remakes of games that were released anywhere between 5 years ago and 25 years ago. I mean, look at, like, Resident Evil. I mean, why are we not focused on making new Resident Evil games? Well, probably because the developers are terrified to do anything different. This guy's tough. Now, the combat in this game is, you know, for like a semi-RPG, it's a little on the shallow side. I still think it's fun. I think it's very stylish. I mean, all the different moves that you can do, and the way the camera pivots when you do certain special moves, it's pretty cool. But I'm not gonna lie, there's a little bit of button mashing. I mean, you have to dodge, and you can time your counterattacks and all that. But, like in that last moment you saw, I staggered him, and he's just sitting there on the floor. And so my goal is essentially to maximize my damage. But I've got all these cooldowns, right? So if I use all my most powerful attacks, after that I'm just kind of mashing buttons. And yeah, some people might grind me for using the time delay on the dodge. You'll see that where it has the red circle and it tells me to press R1. But I think it's cool, and I can't see when they're about to attack every time they're about to attack, so it works for me. If you don't want to play with that, you don't have to. There we go. We defeated that troll, and we're still depressed.
Another perfect little shortcut, Sid. Straight to a nest of bloodthirsty beasts.
And one thing that strangely aids my enjoyment of this game is how edgy it is. And how, like, forgive my use of this term, but how emo it is. I can't help but think it's kind of humorous. Like, it's so over the top. But it's not badly done. Right? Like, it's this perfect mix of edginess, but awareness of what it is, right? Like, it's aware that it's edgy, so it does it in an appropriate manner. I don't know how to describe it. But there are some times where it's a little on the ridiculous side, and it just makes me laugh. Not in a bad way. I enjoy it. Like, I want to see more of it because it's just funny. It makes the game enjoyable. I'm not gonna lie though, I don't really like these hornet things. I'm just gonna use the ranged attacks to get at them. I'm trying to jump and attack them, but
Not this time.
the counters sort of help.
That's enough.
And this whole debacle with Final Fantasy has sort of reminded me of, you know, like, how are we supposed to grade a game that does separate itself from its roots? Is it bold and innovative, or is it lazy and pandering to a broader audience? I mean, after all, Final Fantasy 16 does play, like I said, like an Uncharted game or a God of War game.
Come on.
But if you look at, like, other games that deviated, like Assassin's Creed, oh man, not this guy again. Golly, we gotta go through another one of these bulls. Oh. My dog's healing me. Torgal's healing me. I'm so trash at the game. But, like I was saying, Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, those are both franchises that have tried to evolve and then go back to their roots, right? Like, Assassin's Creed's going through it right now. They started out as a stealth-heavy game and focused a great deal on, like, training your character to blend into crowded environments. And then they started evolving into Witcher copycats, where you traverse this... Golly, I hate this dude. Come on, man. You gotta go to bed.
Not this time.
But as I was saying, Assassin's Creed eventually... There we go. Assassin's Creed evolved into these Witcher copycats where you're traversing, like, these massive open worlds and you're focused on grinding and upgrading gear and fighting mythical beings. That's a pretty wild transition. And then enough of that happened, and then everybody was complaining and they were going, we need a return to the roots, which has prompted Assassin's Creed Mirage to be developed. And I actually did a video about that and what my thoughts are after the most recent showcase of that game. And I'll put a link to that video in the description. But Call of Duty is another one, right? Evolved from World War II shooters into modern military shooters, and then further into futuristic shooters with like jetpacks and all sorts of ways to manipulate your position in 3D space. And this evolution occurred after constant complaints that Call of Duty was the same game every year. And that was around the same time that the Battlefield franchise was beginning to even the odds. And then after a few futuristic entries, like Advanced Warfare and Infinite Warfare, everyone demanded that Call of Duty get back to boots on the ground. Which they did. And it was successful. But just interesting to watch those transitions, and, you know, maybe that's what Final Fantasy is doing right now. They're just testing it, see what they can evolve into, even if it's just temporary. Oh, geez, he's not thinking about jumping, is he? I'm not going to spoil why he's so sad for people who want to play through it.
What is it, boy?
After him! Don't let him escape!
That's who we're looking for. That's our buddy.
Gav!
See, everything's so dramatic.
Who goes there? This one's a deserter. Take his head! Out of my way.
But it's dramatic in this awesome way. Like, oh, this guy can block attacks. Ooh. I know that evasion tactic is a little cheap, but it is what it is. Going back and forth. See, like the combat, whatever people may think about its simplicity, it definitely looks cool. Like, look at this. With the music. Like the spectacles, honestly.
There he is! Don't let him escape!
Uh-oh.
Kill the deserter!
Uh-oh. Here he comes.
Clive, what's the situation?
You're late! You're in trouble!
What?
The Imperials are on his tail. We have to get to him before they do.
Understood. I'm here to even the odds. Any objections? I'll take the dragon.
Like, it's just so badass. Every scene in this game is badass. But that's what I was trying to say. The spectacles and the, I don't know, just the presentation, the graphical presentation of every boss fight and every like major event is so detailed and so explosive. It's honestly what keeps me playing. I mean, more than anything else. There's a lot of things that keep me playing. But the spectacles, most of all. Just the graphical presentation. It's amazing. This dude and his spear are problematic. He likes to jump up in the air, as if that's going to make a difference. Use some of our powers. There we go. Come on, man. Looks like Sid, our buddy, defeated the dragon. Use some of our fire powers. I really want some of the electric powers. That'd be cool. But I think we're gonna get more elements throughout the game. Because we started out with just fire, and then we got the wind powers. Maybe electricity will come later. You can pretend to be like Infamous. Speaking of PlayStation exclusives, any of you guys remember Infamous? Those were some good games, man. I'd really like to see Sucker Punch get back into that franchise. For those who don't know, that was an open world game where you could do parkour and you had electricity-based powers. And man, it was an awesome game. I still think Infamous 2 is a little underrated. Not saying anybody thought it was a bad game, but I think a lot of people believe the first game. Oh my goodness. This guy's he's really upset we're kicking his ass.
Since when could these bastards fly?
There we go. That's what we want to see. Let's finish this dude.
Time waster. Come on, let's finish him off.
I couldn't agree more, Sid. Sweet. Oh yeah, another thing. The music. The music is so cool. I mean, the music can magnify a how do I say this?
Come on.
Music could almost make a game. I'm not gonna say it would break a game, but it could make a game. That's not good.
Shit!
Come on, Gav. Oh! They're about to get destroyed. There he is.
Give me your hand! Help me!
Help me! Help me, Clive!
I've got you.
There we go. That's the Clive we all know. They're all wiped out. That's another example of the incredible spectacle. Especially with Sid dropping the thunder down like Thor.
There. Clive doesn't have your nose, I said. He'd stumble off a cliff, I said.
That's the trouble with a nose like mine. Can't help sticking it where it's not wanted. But if it wasn't for you two, my sniffing days would be over. Thank you. Truly.
So, what news?
Well, found out where your friend's heading for one thing.
Gav,
Him and his mate are on their way to your old stomping ground, Rosaria. You should have seen what they did to the Imperials who tried to stop them. There's no question about it. He's a dominant fire, all right.
he can't be.
Clive, I saw you turn into an icon before my very eyes. And yes, there's a good chance it was you who killed the Phoenix. But we weren't alone, were we? There was the fellow you saw enter the whirlwind. I saw him too. You didn't dream it, Clive. He's out there.
But who is he?
Don't ask me. I don't bloody know. But I do know one thing. You're gonna find him and find out. After all, you swore an oath.
What?
You swore you'd avenge your brother's death. That you'd never rest until you'd hunted down the man responsible. So, find out if this man's responsible and kill yourself if he's not.
Sid,
Don't thank me. Thank Gav.
Thank you, Gav.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Pretty cool cutscene. But I think a solid takeaway from this experience with this game is that, well, let me say this. Ultimately, we have to grade the game not on what type of game a fan base expects it to be, but on how well the game executes its intended vision. There are plenty of games that are actually bad because they failed at being something that they were actually striving for. Final Fantasy XVI is striving to be a simple, mostly linear story-heavy action game with insane fights and visual spectacles, and I absolutely love it. But the takeaway is that if we have the opportunity to rid ourselves of expectations, we ought to take it in an effort to really love and enjoy a game, perhaps as much as the games we're nostalgic about today. After all, with lengthening development times and game releases being less frequent, we shouldn't waste the special chance we have with each game that developers clearly put a lot of heart and soul into. It's one thing if a game is rushed and comes out a total dumpster fire. You know, Cyberpunk, when it came out, a lot of the Battlefield games recently, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, didn't release very well, but Final Fantasy XVI isn't that, so we shouldn't treat it the same way we treated those other games. We should be thankful for a game like this. And I understand the classic Final Fantasy fans may still be disappointed, and I don't blame you for that, as I said earlier. But that doesn't mean that we judge this game poorly. This game on its own is very good, even if it is not a classic Final Fantasy game. But anyway, guys, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you want to see more, please consider subscribing. I would love to make more videos like this for you guys in the future if you really enjoyed it. But until next time, take care.